Hey guys, welcome to episode 4 of
PnB Unplugged.
Oh man, what a voice!
Who's the guy that does the Thriller? Michael Jackson.
Oh, Vincent. Oh, come on,
Van
That's a
Gogh?
trivia
Vincent
question.
Price.
Price.
Yep.
That's you.
Interesting.
Yeah,
If I could think of any of the lyrics right now, I would try to do it. But he has a ridiculously good voice.
You know what I'm talking about, though, don't you?
Yes,
Yes,
I
I
do.
do.
Yeah.
Caleb, tell us about your new hat.
This new hat is just in out of the box. These are the beautiful new Phillips and Banks hat.
Wow.
It's a Richardson. Come on.
That's
but
a nice hat, also.
It is nice, man. I'm
Mhm.
telling you. So Carmen has heard our cries from Jacob and I.
Your cries have awoken the master.
Well, Carmen this time, but she got us some PnB hats. So you'll have to come out and see us in concert. But we'll have them. We've got them, and we're excited for you to get them. So
It's even
and
got that cool little leather pouch.
I know, man.
Pouch?
I know.
Patch.
Patch and
Patch.
patch.
They got pockets.
It has
Hey.
pockets in the side.
We
Might
could
be a cool thing.
Nobody has seen this. Never mind. I was going to make a SpongeBob joke, but it
Oh.
ain't even worth it.
Autumn, tell us about your hat.
Oh, it says Dolly on the front.
There
Is
you
that
And-
your idol?
go. Coat of many colors
yeah,
on the.
it's like
brim.
the quilt.
Man, don't start
Quilt
singing
pattern.
that.
That's
Oh.
awesome.
Through the years. I got it
cry.
at Dollywood.
I cry every time I hear that song.
I go wandering once again.
You're so sensitive.
All right, Autumn, what are you drinking tonight?
Real cocoa, organic coconut water, pressed, unsweetened.
I tried it and it's okay.
I was gonna say awful.
It's almost gone.
It is.
The-
What's terrible?
The flavor is good. I just wish it was more milky instead of more watery, but it is called coconut water.
They have
Sure.
at
love
Trader
it.
Joe's. They have one called coconut smoothie, and you would like it. It's like really thick.
Mm.
Yeah, I
It's
think
good.
I think I would like that better.
It's delicious.
All right. So,
What are you drinking?
yeah, Caleb, what are you drinking?
I'm drinking water.
Oh, Carmen,
Classic.
Sorry.
water,
Mm-hmm.
I have
nothing else.
coffee in this cup
Coffee.
that I borrowed from you. And then I also have a glass of ice water
Water.
on the side.
I didn't even
Just
see
in
that.
case, brother.
I thought at first that this was going to be some kind of big announcement because the
It says
coffee
Papa
cup
Bear.
says Papa Bear on it.
Nope.
Oh, that's
Just
what I'm
chunky.
talking about.
No.
Nope,
Chunky
just
and out of
checking.
water now.
No.
That's funny. All right, and so Carmen's drinking water, and I'm drinking nothing.
You
All
already
right.
had a cup of coffee.
I did have a cup of coffee as soon as I got home, just a few minutes ago. Olivia is at church right now, and she will be back later.
She'll probably come through
Absolutely.
this door.
Yeah,
while we're
she
recording.
goes to youth group on Wednesday nights at my dad's church here in Bristol. Anyway, we are Phillips and Banks, and we're excited to be with you wherever you're watching from. So the first episode, guys, that went really well. It was a question and answer session. The second episode was literally a Seinfeld episode, and it was about nothing.
A show about nothing.
Yeah, it really
It's
was.
beautiful.
It was, and we ended up calling it nostalgia because we talked a lot about, just memories from our past and things like that. And then this past week we did. What did we do?
The top 5.
That's right. We did a top 5 episode, top 5 gospel songs that have impacted us, and we made you a little playlist. We hope that you've listened to some of those.
Oh, yeah.
And now tonight, we're gonna do something really cool. We're gonna do
Our villain origin stories. No.
but we really are. We just wanted to tell you about how the group came to be. I thought this would be good because some people that are watching and many people that have followed us for years probably don't know all the details of this story.
It's true. I was thinking, sorry, my brain went to the villain stories. I'm like, this is how I became the socks with sandals man. That's my villain character.
That is off the wall, Caleb.
You know, I wore socks with sandals to your house tonight.
Hey.
I
She was
did.
offended.
Oh, and by the way, Caleb shaved off his beard, and you can see his dimples. Smile.
Aw.
Oh, look at those. Aren't they cute? So Caleb looks like Stone Cold Steve Austin tonight.
I told when Autumn got done, she like all trimmed it up and lined it up for me, and I said, I look like I belong in a biker club.
If you want to hear Caleb's origin story, give me a heck yeah.
Next week, our podcast is going to be our top 5 wrestlers.
Oh,
yeah.
dude, that would be awesome.
Okay, I was
I'm gonna
joking.
be. I'm gonna be taking a
I was
nap.
about
I don't
to say
even know
Carmen.
him.
I don't either.
Autumn be like, yeah, that I like that guy.
You're going to make it.
Smoke me another one.
What are we talking about tonight?
The origin story of Phillips and Banks, how it all
Where
started.
do we begin?
Origin,
Where-
the original.
Right. Where did it all come from? How did it all start?
Oh, good
In a
Lord.
galaxy far, far away.
Well, back on December the 1st,
1987.
No, we
My
ain't going
mom
back to
said,
your birth.
Holy crap!
And she never stopped saying that.
Amen. Amen.
Too far, too far. Now come up a little bit.
Oh, well, fast forward a few years.
About 2017,
Yeah,
probably?
2017. So I hate to start it like this, but a friend of ours, her name was Janice Owens. And Janice had been diagnosed.
She would have laughed at that.
Yeah, she had been. It all starts with Janice Owens.
It all starts
Oh,
with
yeah,
Janice.
she's loving that right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Janice Owens was a friend of ours, and she had gotten sick, and she had ALS, and they diagnosed her, and within a year, she passed away. It was pretty tragic, actually. And so the three of us, was it Caleb too?
No, I was running sound.
He was
at that
there,
funeral,
but-
Oh, okay,
brother.
all right. So Caleb was running sound for the funeral, and the three of us sang, and there was a pastor that approached me afterward, and he said, "Hey, would you all like to come and sing at our homecoming?" And so we went and did that. But and when we went and sang for that homecoming, it was like we didn't have. I mean, we didn't. You weren't even there, right?
Nope.
No.
I don't know where
I can't remember when you came along in all of this.
I think the first time I remember coming and singing with you all was your dad had the jail ministry benefit over, not even at a whatever that place is on 11E, but anyways, they're having the big banquet thing, and you're like, "Come on, man, you can eat." And I was like,
I'm in.
"I'm in." And I remember I was telling somebody this the other day when we first started. The three of you would sing, and then you'd say, "Caleb, come on up here and sing us one." And so
Yeah.
Oh,
Because I would just sit down I had a front row seat at the concert.
That's right. Because, the problem was we only had 3 parts.
Right.
And at the time, we didn't really know that you could sing bass and lead and tenor and
Every other part.
every other part that you want to. So, but anyway, we got together one night, and Caleb was like, "Well, I guess I could try to sing bass."
I think it started with when we did "Mary Did You Know," the first time we had to sing that together. Somebody else was singing bass, and I was doing beatbox. But
Period.
as they were doing beatbox, I was humming along with the bass notes, and that's why I told Carmen, I said, "Hey, I don't know if this is right, but I think I can sing some of these notes." And she's like, "Okay."
Yeah, they sound really nice.
So
But backing way up.
Yeah, let's go backwards.
backwards for a minute,
and we'll
yeah.
catch it and pull it back up to where you're talking about
ahead.
now. We all, Jacob and I were working at this ministry. It was performance-based ministry, but they were gospel-centered, and we were working there. Autumn came as how old were you?
Ooh. Like when I was technically like there.
Volunteer, yeah.
Yeah,
just
like
come as
17 probably. Or you mean like earlier than that?
Oh,
I
no,
mean,
earlier.
earlier
Oh, I was
than
probably
that.
13.
13
Yeah.
years old.
So
She comes.
unfortunately, we've known
Unfortunately, we are still here.
her. I'm just kidding. No.
So she came as an actor, like a volunteer actor, and we were working there, and we would do shows too. And so she came along, and then when she graduated high school, she decided to become a summer intern. And the girl summer intern stayed with us in our house downstairs in our basement
In the
Down in
dungeon.
the
in the dungeon.
But Autumn loved it.
Yeah.
Only
Well,
because it was
it was
really,
dark.
really dark.
Dark, cold.
So she came as a summer intern and then stayed on and served with us another 3 years after that. And in that time, Caleb came around to this place that we were working, and he started volunteering. And then next thing, you know,
Oh, you can't even see me.
It's on his left
I was
side.
going like this.
Oh,
So they got married, and
Then I moved out finally.
Well, this is a funny story about when I knew that Caleb was interested in Autumn. One night, Caleb
oh yeah.
was like, "Hey, man, I want to take you to
Waffle House.
Waffle House." I was
Where
like,
else would you go? Come on,
bro? Waffle House. I already.
Jacob has always hated Waffle House.
It's not okay. It's not that I hate Waffle House. It's just it's
rough.
rough on my belly. That's all.
Yeah.
So anyway, we'll stop there. It's rough on my belly. But anyway, he takes me to Waffle House and he's like, "Hey man,
Like you're my dad.
yeah, it was so weird. I guess it was because I was living in your house or something. I mean, you were living
Yeah,
in my house.
You were living in my house.
And so he took me to Waffle House and he's like, "Hey man, I need to ask you a question." I was like, "Oh, you want to ask Autumn out on a date?" He was like, "How did you know that?"
How did
like,
you
well,
know?
it was
oh,
Pretty
well,
obvious. And so
it's
I was
my
like,
gift.
so this is what I told Caleb. You remember what I told you?
Yes,
What did I tell you?
Actually, Jacob didn't give me the actual the bro talk, like a normal. Yeah, man, that's a great night. He said, "Now, brother, you need to be prepared if she tells you no."
Yeah.
I was
I
like,
should have too.
oh, okay.
The only reason I said that was because, Autumn's pretty open about
Too much.
a lot of things. And she I just didn't know if she was interested in a boyfriend at the time.
That's true, and I think I spent probably 30 minutes like explaining to her after we had that chat. I came over and
In this room.
let's continue on. I'll get there in a minute because that's my memories are flooding back. Just
Okay,
Oh,
so
gosh.
well, anyway, so that's kind of how our friendship started, how
Yeah.
we met.
What is
Right.
30 minus 13?
30 minus 13,
17.
17. Oh, we've known each other 17
That's
years?
crazy.
Wow.
Oh, that is crazy.
That's
Don't like
It's a
awesome.
that.
long time.
That's
It's like
awesome,
a long
though.
time.
So, and I remember when Autumn first started, and she didn't really sing much in front of. Like she went to. Didn't you go to a high school that didn't have chorus?
Yeah, we didn't have chorus. No
That
choir.
is so weird.
That
I was in
foreign to
band,
me.
but
But so when she started to sing, I was like, that girl can sing.
She
We need to
sucks.
like use her in the show, like in a performance or
Yeah.
whatever. Anyway,
Oh.
she was very shy at the time.
Still kind of is.
not shy.
Just in the right setting. It's got to be the right setting.
Well,
Yeah.
speaking of shy, that's what I was going to say. I think I shared this on one of our podcasts or maybe on the Facebook Live, but whenever I proposed to Autumn, Jacob called right before I asked the question.
We went to Biltmore.
So, but think about this too. Whenever I came over to ask Autumn out, you're like, we had talked, and Jacob's like, "Don't worry, man, we won't be in there." So instead of just like he's like, "Well, me and Carmen and Olivia's going to go in
Like,
here in the
make it as
bedroom for
obvious as
no good
possible.
reason to hang out."
We were sitting right there.
And I was like, "Well, I guess that's my cue to go."
And I was like, we were all like sitting here watching a movie, and I was like,
What are they doing? And I was-
Okay.
Totally oblivious.
guess it's bedtime at 7 o'clock.
that's where I said my memories came. I forgot all about that. I love you, man.
I love you too, brother.
So after they got married in between shows,
Yeah.
also
Yep.
We had a 2:00 show, and then we had a 7:00 show, and they got married
At 4 o'clock.
at 4:00.
I had a fake wife at one show. Then I got married and got my real wife, and then I had a different wife later on that night.
What he means by that is that in the show, the character he played, he was married in the show. Then he got really married to Autumn, and then in the next show, there was a fill-in for the lead role in the show, so he had another
It's like
wife.
sister wives.
You got to be
So-
careful, brother.
I know, brother. I
I'm
know.
just kidding.
Anyway, so after there was some stirring in our life, and just felt the Lord was kind of, you know how He stirs the waters a little bit. It's time to reevaluate where you are and what He's leading you to do, and so we went away on
On a retreat
we did. We went on a little spiritual retreat, and
at the Billy Graham Training Center at the Cove
Yeah,
in
we did.
Asheville.
Oh,
That's a great
awesome.
place to go if you ever
Yeah,
get a
it is.
chance.
So anyway, we left there knowing that it was time to leave where we were, but we didn't know what we were going to do. We didn't have a for sure what's next. We just knew it was time to move on.
So I started doing anything and everything I could to just kind of pay the bills. I had ran a little mowing business when I was in high school, and my dad ran a mowing business also. And so I was doing a lot of mowing, and then I got a job as a janitor at.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah, I got a job as a janitor at
Oh, yeah.
Bluff City Town Hall, and it's like the smallest little. It's got a courthouse in the middle, and then the police department on one side, and on the other side is where like you go in and pay your water bill or whatever.
The clerk
Absolutely.
A clerk's office,
and the mayor
and the mayor's office is over there too. And so I would go in like twice a month and clean. And I'll never forget, I was cleaning one of the bathrooms, and I was down on my hands and knees scrubbing a toilet. And I've told this story many times, but before we went into ministry, we went to college down near Knoxville, Tennessee, which is where the University of Tennessee is. And then it was in a little town called Jefferson City, Tennessee. And it was a little college called Carson Newman. It's now a university, but at the time we attended, it was called Carson Newman College. We were both music majors there. And I remember being down on my knees, scrubbing that toilet. And I was praying to God, and I was really asking God, like, Lord, what are you, like, what is going on? I mean, you know, at that point I had been graduated from college for like 8 years probably, and it was just a really confusing time in my life where God was taking us and leading us, and I was very confused and bewildered. I didn't know what in the world was going on, and I remember, like, I would just stopped cleaning, and I was crying my eyes out
At the toilet.
at the toilet and I was like, God, what is going on?
Been
And it just seemed like the Lord was saying, just be faithful in where I have you. Just be faithful in what you're doing. And I was like, what am I doing? You know, it's like mowing yards and cleaning toilets. And so that's what I did for a little while anyway, and until all this kind of formed.
and
But-
that's where, we'll get to that. I guess that was later, but so when we left, we were doing this, and that's where "Stuck in the Wilderness," the song "Stuck in the Wilderness," kind of came from that too, because it was like we were in that season that felt like a wilderness where we didn't know what was next, and didn't know when the next was, you know, and so I just kept praying that I didn't want to get stuck in the wilderness because I didn't have faith enough to trust that God was going to lead us to the next place, or that He was going to be faithful in the next thing, or what was next, you know, if He knew or was ever going to tell me. I didn't want to get stuck where we were. So that was our prayer through that whole time. And then after that, these two also came out of that other ministry that we were part of at the time. They felt led to get away. Now we're back to the funeral and the first service we ever did, where so we had sung together before, which is why we were singing together at the funeral.
Now,
And then
go ahead.
Go ahead.
yeah, go ahead.
No, I was thinking of there was one service that I think I was going to go with you. I went the second time, not the first time, to Emory United Methodist. That was,
Oh, yeah.
I think that was
How do you even remember that?
because Nylene talks about it. You weren't with them the first time, Caleb, and I was like, yeah, it's
I
so
don't even
true.
remember what happened to me this morning.
It was the singing on the hill thing.
Outside, probably.
Oh, yeah.
So I have a question really quick. Is this something that, like, and you can answer honestly, is this something that you always wanted to to do, like sing,
Never in me. I'm kidding.
like
I'm
sing
kidding.
Southern gospel music, travel, and do all that sort of thing? Because I know that Autumn really likes Southern gospel, but I'm just curious if it's something that everybody always kind of wanted to do, or if it was something that just you're doing it because God's making you, or whatever.
Well, I don't know if this really is not my answer, but I remember wasn't it you that was telling you and Janice. Speaking of Janice Owens, used to talk about y'all need to make a CD together. Wasn't that you and her?
I don't remember. I don't remember anything.
I remember this conversation. I was like, "Yeah, that'd be cool."
Mm-hmm.
Long time, before any of this ever happened.
Full circle.
Crazy,
Well,
man.
the reason I ask that is because, sometimes God asks you to do things that you don't really want to do. and I remember when I felt like the Lord was, he was setting things up. Like, I'm not doing a very good job of describing this to you all. But after we came out of that funeral service, as crazy as it sounds, we went and did that service in Elizabethton.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm not joking. People started calling and wanting to book us. I guess it just kind of started spreading by word of mouth. And so Carmen, at the time, I kept trying to convince her, like, okay, maybe this is something that we should think about. And she was at first, it wasn't that you were against it. It was just, I think that you wanted to make sure it was something that the Lord wanted, right?
Yeah, I mean, I just didn't want to do, like, this may be bad, but I've heard like a pastor say before, or a lay preacher, he's like, I just thought, I could do that. Like being a preacher,
Oh.
he'd be like, well, I
Me
could
too.
do that. And I was thinking, that ain't why you do that,
Yeah, well, I guess
So
I could
in my,
pastor.
I was like, and this must be a calling of some sort.
Right.
And so I just didn't want to do it because we could.
Sure.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, I'm
So I'm trust me, I'm always the one going to be putting on the brakes on everything. Be like, whoa,
And I'm
whoa,
always the one putting on the gas.
whoa.
no, I whenever when I love traveling and singing, and I think at the time my dad was still able to kind of go, so that's when he and I were going. We weren't like going a lot, but we'd sing a couple of places, and I thought to myself, like, I would love to travel and sing. I traveled my whole life when I was a kid. But if you know my testimony, after doing all the crazy, ignorant things that I did, I just assumed when I got saved that was kind of done. So when the Lord opened up the door for us to start traveling and singing again, it was like, wow. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I've always wanted to.
Do you
what we're doing.
remember? Do you remember being hesitant at all, or were you ready? What?
Well, you're gonna think I'm lying, but I don't remember.
Oh, okay.
I remember this being somewhat your two brainchild here. I remember y'all talking about it and me being like, wait now, I don't know if we need to do that.
I do remember one time we were having a conversation. I think you'll remember this, maybe not, but we were talking about maybe coming up with a name or something like that, and we came a hair of calling ourselves Cornerstone. Does anybody remember that?
I remember there's something
No?
about Afton,
remember-
Sweet Afton. Or
Sweet
Oh, yeah,
Afton, yeah, I
yeah.
remember that too. Anyway, we
Remember a lot
Nickel
of
Creek
terrible
was
ideas.
taken, so
Y'all
Terrible.
ever seen that movie 50 First Dates with Drew
Yeah.
Barrymore?
Uh-huh.
That's me.
you don't remember any of that.
No,
10
10-second time.
that's so me.
Well, I'm glad we made a lasting impression.
Yeah.
I was, well, you go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say. So after we kind of started getting those bookings, we were just traveling around with. We'd used the church's sound system. We didn't have a vehicle for the ministry. We didn't have a trailer or anything like that, and so we just started going. And I remember we had this big, thick 3-ring binder with all of our songs in it that we could do. And in the front of it, to keep track of it, Carmen just wrote on a piece of paper, Phillips and Banks songs. And we had been searching for a name for a really long time.
Yeah.
And we looked at that and we were like, well, I guess that's as good as any. So that's kind of how the name transpired. But
What do you remember? Can I talk about that service we had at Roy Lane?
Sure, yeah, that's right.
Oh, that was I
This was
remember-
early on.
Yeah, we
Like-
were using their sound system. Man, that was a great. I'll never forget that night as long as I live. We would sing a couple songs, then Pastor Roy would get up and preach a little bit. I'm gonna hush and let y'all sing.
Yeah.
Then we'd sing a couple more songs. I'm gonna hush and let y'all sing. He'd preach a little bit, but that was the night he said, "We've been praying about taking on another missionary, and I believe these youngins right here." And we're looking at each other, going, "We don't even have a group name."
Yeah.
Like who's a missionary?
Yeah.
But it's like we'd been singing. I mean, like you said, it was call after call. By that time, I don't really remember how, I was sitting here trying to rack my brain other than just figuring out we could sing a part. and
Yeah,
it's-
that's what I mean. Like, there was one practice that I remember, and you looked at us and was like, I mean, I could
think I
try
could
to
sing
sing
bass."
some bass. And we were like, well, okay, because I'd only ever heard him sing tenor. And he was like, well, I could try to sing some bass. And the next thing you know, he's growling
Yeah, I
and
don't even remember
dragging the
what we were
floor with
doing.
all those notes. And so
Yeah,
then he
but-
just started coming with us all the time.
So it was
So it
kinda-
started out, Phillips and Banks started out as a trio, and then
Phillips and Bank.
Phillips and Banks, and then it moved to a quartet. So, but anyway,
That was the same night though. You were getting ready to tell about the.
no, go ahead. Go
no,
ahead.
you tell it because
No, you go ahead.
fine.
Somebody
I'll go ahead.
tell it.
I don't even know.
That
what
was
you're
the same night though. I think we were sitting at cookout,
Mm-hmm.
and a friend of ours said we had one friend show up at that same service where the pastor was like, "We're going to take them on," and one of our friends says, "I'm going to pray for y'all sound system." Tyler McMullins.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Was that
And
pretty
that's
good,
exactly
Tyler?
how he said it.
I'm going to pray
That's
for
why I
y'all
was
sound
laughing.
system. Y'all need your own sound system. Okay. So Jacob's
right,
like,
dude.
well, yeah, all right, brother. We're just still no group name. We haven't this is what we're doing. So Tyler says, I'm praying for y'all sound system. We had another friend of ours come that night, and he ended up coming to cookout with us, and he said, y'all need a sound system. Tell me how much you need. I'm going to write you a check. And so, but before that, Jacob's like, well, we probably need a couple main speakers and blah, 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 and starts to put, which our buddy's like, just tell me what you need, man.
That
So-
was what, 7.5 years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This July,
Mm-hmm.
almost
So-
8 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And aren't we still using the monitors?
We are.
Yep.
Yeah.
The very same monitors.
Still got the same mics.
We still have
uses
them.
the same-
Olivia
yeah.
still uses
Yeah.
one of those. Uh-huh.
Still got the same trailer
Mhm.
because that same
That
friend,
poor old thing's tired, though.
bless his heart. We've put it through it, but
We've
it's
pulled a lot of miles in that thing.
yeah, we have. But it just and then I
So
don't know. It was like
after that, we kind of figured out, hey, we need a CD. We need to record some music. And around that time, I don't know what it was, but it was like the Lord was giving us quite a few original songs.
yeah,
And a friend of ours had written one, and she pitched
Oh,
it to us, and we
yeah.
recorded it. And then Carmen had written "Stuck in the Wilderness," and around that same time, she had written a song called "Before He Offered You
before
His
he offered.
Hand."
We're gonna redo it sometime. I'm holding on to it.
Yeah, and then I had written a song called "I've Been Set Free," and I had written a song when I first got saved called "I Need You."
And a glory
And
that will be.
Glory that will be holding you today.
Oh,
We
yeah.
wrote together. And so it was just a season where God was giving us a lot of original songs. And so we went to this guy that we knew, and he is a multi-talented musician,
Absolutely.
and he can play anything. He can sing anything. And he produced the tracks on our very first record. And then we went to a guy locally here in town, and his name is Joel Sanders. And I've known Joel for years and years and years. Joel, if you ever watch this, thank you for producing the vocals on our very first record. We love you. And he produced the vocals on that record. He mixed it. He mastered it. And so, that's how we got our very first recording. We just needed something to put on a product table to sell. And so that's how all that came to be. And then, Carmen, you tell them about going to the next step. What was the next big thing? Do you remember? Bowling Fest. Tell them
Bowling
about
Fest,
that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think it was that same friend who told us about Bowling Fest. I can't remember how we heard about it.
I remember. I think it was just a friend that sent me like a Facebook thing. advertising.
So we
for it.
thought, well, we've never done anything like that. And the reason we did it was because if you won, you got a 10-song CD done at Daywin. Using
Yep.
Daywin tracks, you'd be covering, doing cover songs. But we were like, free CD.
Sounds good.
Sounds
Let's
great.
give it a shot.
'Cause
What do we have to
those aren't
lose?
cheap.
So we went to that bowling fest, and I remember we sang "Stuck in the Wilderness."
We did.
We did, and
That song has just been a big part of our ministry.
Yeah, it has.
It really, really has.
that I prayed about. Of course, you're always going to pray about songs. Asking the Lord to give you a song. But I was praying out because I had never written a song, and I still have not written another one after those. I don't think no.
But you could.
But no, so I kind of put it to the Lord, and I was like, Lord, this is your fault. And if you're making us do this, not making, but if this is what you want us to do, then you better give us music to sing.
Not only that, but you used to pray
For dates
Carmen's
to fill
a prayer
up too.
warrior. She used to pray for dates to come in too.
Yeah.
I'd put it on the back of a little business card that we had, and on every date that was open, like that was still open, I was like, every date. I put it down on that, and it was cool because I just prayed, Lord, this is your doing. Like if
Yep.
this is what you want, then you have to fill the calendar. I don't want to strive at this. I want to know this is your leading, and so I would just every time Jacob would get a date, and I just cross him off. I just remember marking one after another off as he would do it, and next few months I'd put the rest of the next three months on there.
Man, I love those days. It was
We-
a lot of
He was-
trusting.
Faithful. He's faithful.
I was telling Pastor Lynn about that. Was that Saturday night? This past weekend?
Yeah.
Yeah, Lynn
Yes.
Lockwood
Oh.
at First Baptist Church, Troy, Pennsylvania.
He was kind of asking about like how it all started, and he and I he was telling his testimony of how he got into pastor and all that stuff. And anyway, that story popped back in my head, Carm. I'm trying not to look back at you, so I stay in the mic. But I told him, I said, and it randomly popped up. I said, Carmen used to take not even this business card, our old one, like the very first,
Oh, Kayla Schrader took those
Yeah.
So
the
we looked
very
like little
first
babies.
business card, man, paper.
pictures. Yeah, I had hair and no beard.
Brother, I still didn't have hair, but I had a beard. So, but yeah, I told him, I said, Carmen used to write those dates on there, and I said, I remember that's exactly what
She'd take pictures of it and send it in our group chat
Yeah.
and say, pray
when you
for
pray
this.
for these things. But
Dude,
I was really like, please pray, because
Yeah.
have you ever thought about how long that group chat has been going?
A long
oh
time.
wow, man!
A
Yeah, I
long
thought about it.
time.
But I thought that I told him, I said, because he had prayed something very similar, like when the Lord called him out of where he was at, he didn't have any further steps.
Mhm.
He said, this is getting old, all right. It was 1 week. He said
Mhm.
within the week, the Lord had called him. They found the 2 churches that he was at the night we were there. But I told him, I said, well, that's funny. I said, because Carmen, that's kind of how it happened to us. When the Lord called us out there for a while, it was just maintenance work and finding stuff to do. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
But when we finally accepted that, we figured out the group name. We figured out this is what we're doing. That's always stuck in my head, and I've always remembered whenever, sometimes still, when I'm like, we've only got one date this weekend, I think of those times. I think about the business card. It's like a
Picture in your
picture,
brain.
yeah, of Carmen saying, you did this, Lord. You have to you have to provide for it. So
Went to Bowling Fest in
Yeah,
Kentucky.
and we actually won that night, and I mean we were shaking so much.
Oh my gosh, I'll never forget that.
So nervous.
Oh,
Jacob, we had to get the CD. We forgot the CD. You had to take it up there with you if you
We
won.
didn't know we were singing right then.
Right, and then so like when they announced it, you had to get up, take him to your CD, and just sing your song right then. And I was like, "Oh no, we forgot the CD." Jacob went back. He's trying to fumble with his envelope, and his hands are shaking so much that he couldn't get it out of the
shaking
envelope.
like a leaf.
Well, I remember the guy was like, you guys they're going to perform their song on the main stage. We're in this huge audience. And Jacob looks over at him like in front of, right now? He said, yes, right now. I'll be right back.
So through that, the Lord provided a CD that we didn't have to pay a dime for, and which was amazing. And we still sing many of those songs.
Does anybody remember the name of the producer on that record?
Marty
yes.
Funderburk.
Okay, Marty Funderburk also wrote "You Died for Me, So I Will Live for You."
Yeah, on the
Right
new
on.
record.
on the new record. So,
Yeah.
all right. So that's a cool little God story about that it's called A Few of Our Favorites. So if you're interested in that, you can look it up online.
Check it out.
Anybody remember the story about our Christmas record? That's the next big story, I think. The next big God story.
Kentucky Fanfare.
Yes, that's where we were.
Oh, yeah.
So we had we went to this event called Kentucky Fanfare. Randall Wilds puts it on. It's now held in Alabama, I think, but
It's not Kentucky Fanfare anymore.
it's Alabama Fanfare now.
Oh, that's what's wrong. I'm kidding.
So we went over there and we sang, and there's this guy that we met there named Rob Novell, and he actually runs the Charles Novell, which is his dad, School of Music. And we met him that weekend, hit it all off with him. He's a great guy. We love him dearly. And so we sang a few times, and we honestly, I don't know if y'all have ever experienced this or not, but we were like, Lord, what is the purpose of you having us here this week? What do you want us to accomplish? What do you want to do through this week? And I honestly didn't know. I mean, I really didn't.
And we remember we only went for a couple days because you had a mowing schedule to get to, and you had other things you had to do work wise. And so we were like, okay, how many days can we go? And it was like a whole week, wasn't it? I think it's a whole week event.
Well, I mean, we didn't.
Cooler full of sandwiches. And
Oh, yeah.
Right
Oh,
into
yeah.
the booth.
Well, I mean, we
do that.
we didn't have a motorhome or anything, so
Nope.
we had to get hotel rooms and all that stuff. So it was a lot more expensive even back then. And then you had a booth fee and all that. So we just went
On a Monday and a Tuesday.
yeah.
How do you
And
even remember that?
I don't know, but I remember Monday and Tuesday we went because there was, the crowds were a lot less on Monday and Tuesday than they were later in the week and the weekend and stuff.
so we thought, well, we'll go down there and just maybe we'll meet somebody and it'll be good. We can network or whatever. So we went down there and sang, and there was a lady in the audience, and I still to this day don't know 100% sure. I got a pretty good idea who it is, but I still don't know to this day 100% sure who it was. But she approached Rob, and she was talking to him, and she said, "Hey, do you see that group up there that just sang?" And he said, "Yeah, they're pretty good." And she said, "Yeah, I really like them." She said, and he owns a recording studio.
Yep.
And she said, I want them to record at your studio." And he said, "Well, I mean, I'd have to go talk to them first, I mean, I don't know if they want to record or not." And at the time, we had really been interested in making a Christmas recording.
Yeah.
We needed something to where we could travel in the month of December and, not go broke. So we needed a Christmas record. So Rob came to us and he said, "This lady wants you to record at my studio." And I said, "Well, Rob, I mean, I like you, but I don't know you from Adam, and he said, "Well, she wants to pay for it." And I was like, "Where's your studio?"
We'll be there.
What days are we at?
So that lady literally wrote him a check that night and paid for our entire Christmas recording.
Yep.
And so that was just a really special.
And he was so
God
good. Like there was, Christmas music. You can't do a whole lot. You need orchestration. You need that magical sound, And he was so kind to
Patient.
try to fit stuff like that in there without actually paying for an orchestra,
Well-
And he got Jeff Stice,
Yeah, Jeff Stice.
to play all kinds of orchestra, and he was brilliant.
He
wasn't he?
was brilliant.
So anyway, Rob did a very good job of trying to fit all our dreams into that little.
That little
project.
recording, and Rob. So we love you and we appreciate you.
We do love you.
If you watch this ever in your life,
That was also Olivia's breakthrough.
that's right.
Was that the first thing she recorded?
Yeah.
Does
Wayne
anybody
or
remember?
Major?
Oh well, all
I'm
right.
I
sorry,
actually
I'm
remembered
sorry.
something.
Take your
Yeah.
time.
What
It helps
song
that
wa-
we've sung it every year.
Wayne
so-
Major?
No, wait a major.
So she sang that, and does anybody remember how old she was? She was 5 years
Wow.
old when she recorded
I
that
didn't
song.
speak that time. I just
So anyway, after that record, so that was like what year? Maybe 2019, something like that.
you didn't tell him the best
Probably.
part, man.
Oh, what was the best part?
Rob gave her what's that award, Carmen?
The Banana Award.
Banana
Award.
Award. She still has it because Rob asks her all the time at Quartet
Yeah.
Convention. But when she was in the studio, your mom went with us on that trip, and I think that was her first trip with us, which was awesome. I remember being in the van when we got down there. We stayed at an Airbnb. Nobody else probably remembers, but
I guarantee I don't.
she said we brought our own food. We brought a cooler, all that stuff. They actually had a refrigerator at that place. But your mom, the lunch meat was in the car.
She
It
was
was in
so
the car.
worried about
For
that.
five
I do remember
think
that.
that lunch
She was
meat's
like
okay out there?
obsessing over the lunch meat in the cooler.
I said,
Put
Mom,
it in the fridge.
it's in the cooler. I'm going to go out there and get it. I'm
I
just
do
worried.
remember that.
Yeah, you remember.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
Olivia,
dear.
so Mama V took Olivia to play while we were recording. But when she came in and did her one song, I remember Olivia, we're all crying because it's so cute. She's singing Away in a Manger. And when she got done, she said, can I go play now?
Yeah, I
She
remember
didn't
that. She didn't care.
Still don't. I'm kidding.
But that led us up to like 2019, something
Yeah,
like that. I'm
something around
thinking.
there.
Then COVID hit, and that was a struggle for
We
a little
sang to
while.
a lot of cameras like we are tonight.
Yeah, exactly. But then we made our very first recording in Nashville,
Yeah.
and that was the first record that we really started like releasing singles to radio and all of that sort of thing. And by that time, our dates had kind of grown, and we were booking more dates. And we recorded a CD called "This Is Your Day," and it has songs like, if you know anything about our ministry, we've sung some of these songs for a long time.
5 years.
Yeah, and it has like this
On
"Heaven in Your
Hallelujah.
Heart."
Yeah.
"Heaven in Your Heart" was a huge song, still is for us. People ask for it just about everywhere we go. And
Guilt was covered by
Guilt was
Grace.
covered by
We sing
Grace.
that one.
Man, we
Sweet
sing it
peas.
every single time we have a service.
She's so excited about that one.
But one of the songs that I think gets overlooked off that record is Autumn's song,
Which one?
"Glorify His Name."
Glorify thy name.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Josh
Josh.
Roberts, if you're watching this, we brought it up. But I love that song.
It's because I hate singing
I-
lead
that's so weird. You have such a wonderful voice, but she would rather sing parts as
all
anything.
day long.
So, but it
She
is a
said if I ever lose I can't sing, I'd be happier to run sound. I was like, what are you talking about?
oh man.
Remember that time I lost my voice for like a month and
Oh,
I did have to
yeah.
run sound? I got
She
laryngitis.
did.
I was on
forgot about
steroids
that.
for like a month. It was horrible.
Oh,
Looking
man.
back on that, we should have bought a snake, and you could have just sat out in the audience and really ran the sound.
I sat on the stage, sat on the stage and ran sound behind you.
An audio snake, not a reptile, by the way.
No, we ain't that kind of Christians.
But so after that, we recorded a project called "Sing Them Again," and that's a collection of old hymns. And out of that project came probably the most popular song that we have, and it's that bluegrass tune that we do called "Man in the Middle." And then,
It's all about Caleb.
well,
Heaven in your
it's
hearts,
just-
Caleb.
consider the
old song.
lilies,
Yeah.
man
It's
in the
an old
middle.
song.
Hey, if you're smart,
Hey.
you'll do what the people
Yeah,
like.
for real.
That's
okay?
right. We're just riding the wave, buddy.
If it ain't broke,
Don't fix it.
They just
don't
good
die,
songs.
please.
That's
We
all
can't do
is,
it without
man.
you.
I mean, we could, but it wouldn't be nearly
It would
as
be
good.
bad.
Jacob has always told me with all this stuff with my kidneys and everything, he said, I don't care if your whole body falls apart. He does care. He's like, but I'll carry you in there. You have to sing. I said, okay.
Well, your whole body might be falling apart, but brother, I'm telling you, your vocal cords
Your
are
voice
Jacob
still
back there
works.
pumping
They
me
are-
full of air. Keep going, brother. Keep going.
Have you seen those air in a can that they make for people who hike? Like when they get to high altitudes and they like suck like
Oh.
pure oxygen out of the can? We're going to put that on the stage for Caleb.
Hey, at least we have a plan.
You
if
know what I'm
everything
talking
goes
about?
south.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we could do that for you.
I just
I'm
see
just
you
like
hold
sitting
me-
over there like a puppet.
I see you hold me like a bagpipe. Push it.
A bagpipe.
Come on, man.
One more concert, Caleb. I gotta pay the light bill.
Start that track again. No, brother. We ain't got enough air for it.
Oh my gosh. Well, so yeah, and that kind of leads us up to, I guess, where we are now. One other God,
Poverty. I'm
one
kidding.
Already.
What?
Let's move on.
one other God miracle that I'd like to share about before we kind of wrap it up. We're at about 45 minutes. We're doing pretty good. was the motorhome.
Oh yeah, man.
I
Yeah.
mean, I think that's a.
Do you remember that whole process?
Yeah, I do.
It's
Okay,
closer.
good.
Yeah.
So when we what?
Nothing.
Something else was happening. That's the year I
That Caleb tried to die.
Right
Oh.
before the.
So yeah, I remember.
You're
Well,
I remember
yeah,
that one.
you're right. We
I
were
ca-
trying.
Well,
We were planning for the fundraiser concert.
I'm sitting in a hospital bed like
Oh dear.
Josh Roberts.
I wasn't in the hospital.
When I finally
bed.
came to, Jack Bo calls me and he's like, "Hey, brother, don't worry about anything. Everything's going great. You know, just encourage her, Jack Bo." And then he says, "Josh wants to talk to you." And he says,
Josh Roberts, one of the pastors at our
"Oh my
church, and he's a
gosh,
nut job.
He'll be on one of these episodes sometime." But he says, "Caleb, you need to hurry up and get out of the hospital. Our giving has gone down 30% because people are worried about you and not the RV."
You just
Sorry,
have to
Josh.
know Josh.
I'm
He's
on
like,
my way back. But he knew he got me laughing, so that was cool.
if you've never followed our ministry or you're new to us, back right around the same time that we were trying to get a motorhome, Caleb went into the hospital and tried to die. He was
Literally.
he's a type 1 diabetic. And anyway, long story short, he got out of the hospital, obviously, and he's doing better, but he's on this health journey right now that is really
Rocky.
rocky. So, but he does good.
But I'm rocking it.
Yeah, you're rocking it. But, you know,
As we started traveling more and more out of town, it was getting very difficult in a 15-passenger van.
Oh, amen.
I think the Michigan trip
that broke
really,
a
that
little
really
bit
broke
for
us.
sure.
My
You remember I had a
goodness.
gallbladder attack that trip too?
I
And
do.
I was so sick
You spent the night in the bathtub.
in the
That's when we
floor.
had the mattress in the back of the van.
In the playpen back there. So me and Emma used to call it the playpen.
Hey, now his dad and papa, they're like, you need to put a bed back in there? All right, let's do it.
Yeah, buddy.
So
With
they
this
built a
15-passenger van.
platform in the back of the 15-passenger, put that plywood on there. We bought a mattress for it, and it.
I've slept
I
on
slept
many
back there.
trips on
I
that.
did
Yeah.
You slept on the way back from the hospital
Oh,
back
I
there.
sure
You
did.
yeah.
Looked like the roof was coming off because I hadn't slept in 2 or 3 days. But I was hallucinating.
Oh, I was like, what?
I
You
kept
remember? Oh,
yeah,
go ahead.
No, you go.
Whenever we left, we went to Cracker,
Cracker
Barrel.
Barrel.
Caleb doesn't
forgot it.
remember that.
No,
You don't remember going inside?
Not
We even
any
took
He was
you
so
inside.
drugged up.
I don't remember any of that trip.
Well,
And I kept
You-
thinking, oh god, I knew it was take us 6 hours home, but it could have been 12 days in my brain.
wow.
We got home. He didn't get off the couch for like 2 weeks.
hmm Very weak.
Well,
But so anyway, it got very difficult in the 15-passenger van. Olivia was still in her booster seat too, trying to
Oh,
sleep.
couldn't
You know,
even-
sitting
yeah.
up and. And anyway, so we just knew it was time to get something that we can actually sleep on or rest on at least, and it'd take care of hotel rooms. It would take care. We could cook.
Pack
We
the
could,
good food.
yeah.
Oh,
It has
yeah.
a refrigerator. You know. So anyway, so God he lined it all up, and this a man from our church too had approached and said, "Why don't you do a fundraiser concert?"
he was really encouraging us to do that because we just were really shying away from that. We didn't want to, like, beg people for money or, you know, whatever.
yeah.
We didn't want to feel like that, you know, we were being a burden to people. And so we were really hesitant about making our need known. And so he really encouraged
He was
us.
really encouraging and pushing us to try it. And anyway, I mean, the Lord showed out.
Yeah, he
we
did.
He
we
was
found we found a vehicle through a friend, and they were going to sell their vehicle, and it was going to be perfect. It was the perfect size for what we needed. It wasn't too big, but it was just enough room, you know, and that's what we have now. So we set an amount what we thought we would need to get it, and also do some repairs we already knew we were going to have to.
Mm-hmm.
And so we said, we're going to try to raise this amount of money. And God just went, no, honey, I got something else. I think you need this amount of money. And
And we
he,
did.
oh my gosh, he went above and beyond what we asked for. And it's amazing how every other thing that we didn't know we needed it for, he took care of
Mhm.
through
Yeah.
that too. You know,
Mhm.
he knows all that we need before we think we got it, but you know.
And I mean, this wasn't a small amount.
Mm-mm.
Oh my gosh.
I mean,
You know how
to,
much they cost. You know.
Yeah.
to
Oh, yeah.
to some people it would be, to people with money.
I mean, to me, it wasn't very much money.
Right.
Just kidding. It was a lot.
I
to
know.
some people it wouldn't seem like a lot of money
Yeah.
In Bitcoin.
if you have a bunch of money,
If you
but
got
But
money.
to
To
us,
it
it
was
was
like-
astronomical.
like millions of dollars.
it was like,
felt
so how many years are we going to have to travel in the white van before we get that?
You
Crazy.
can do
Because-
what?
So, but God has been faithful, and I think
Mhm.
the overarching theme of the origin story of Phillips and Banks, the continuing story of Phillips and Banks, and all those little God things that have happened to us over the last 8 years. Is
Mhm.
that right?
Almost 9. No,
Almost
almost 8.
8.
almost
Right.
8.
I don't
No,
know.
18,
2017.
19, 20, yeah. 8
Almost
years.
8 years.
Yeah.
Has been because, and I'm not, there have been plenty of times in my life where I've been disobedient to the Lord. Okay. So I don't want you to hear what I'm not saying. I'm not bragging on myself or us, but I really do think that when you are trying your best to be obedient to God, that He blesses you and He shows you favor, and He will help you get to where you need to be. And trust me, the four of us, we had no idea what we were doing.
Still don't.
We had no clue how to start. And God He did it all. He really did. And we're so grateful.
I was
Mhm.
thinking about before we actually did the fundraiser, before we put anything out there, we met some friends at a shepherd's luncheon. We prayed about it with some great pastor friends of ours, and then it seemed like after that, one church came in
You're right. It started before we started.
before we start. Same way with before we ever had a group name. Somebody was buying us equipment. Somebody bought us a trailer. It's like God was going, you're going to have to start catching up. And so I remember somebody, y'all can tell me who it was. I can't remember, but I remember, I'm pretty sure you showed it to me, Jacob, or Carmen showed us the check that somebody had sent before we said anything about a ministry vehicle, and they had drawn a bus in the
And-
memo.
On the memo line,
You remember that?
I know exactly who it is. I'm not
too.
going to
Yeah.
say who it was because
That
they
was
wouldn't.
before,
They wouldn't want us. They wouldn't want us to say that. But
and we were like, I guess we're going to have to catch up and figure something
Yeah,
out.
he did start putting. I was putting money into an account for something that I didn't know we were ready for, like ready to start. So it's pretty cool.
yeah, I mean, I remember that one church here in Bristol.
Yes.
He came to me and he's like, "Hey, our church wants to. We want to give to your vehicle fund."
We don't have a vehicle.
Yeah.
I said, "What? What vehicle fund?" He said, "Well, you got one now."
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I mean, they gave a sizable donation.
Yep.
It's a small little church too.
Yeah, I mean, so God is bigger, and if you ever wonder, well, I could never do X, Y, or Z because I don't have X, Y, or Z. Just remember that God owns it all, and it's good for us, I think. And by us, I mean us four, to take ourselves back and remember how faithful God has been over the last 8 years, and remember what it was like being praying not to be stuck in the wilderness,
Yeah.
and remember what it was like to wonder, hey, are the dates going to come in? Can we do this? Is God going to let us? And it's just really good for my spirit tonight, I think, to be reminded of how faithful He's been. And He'll be faithful to you too. I promise you
Absolutely.
that. So, anyway.
What is it that our pastor always says? He quotes A.W. Tozer, I think, maybe.
He quotes him a lot. Any dead old theologian, Chad quotes.
And he's just got all those little nuggets in his head, But he said
love it.
anything, God's will, anything in God. This is not exactly right. Excuse me. Anything in God's will never lack God's supply.
Yeah.
That what God wants to do what He wants to happen, He will always give everything needed to do it. And that's in the little things and the big old things that we've seen Him do.
But I think I've learned. I think I've learned over the years. We've been in full-time ministry now for almost 15 years.
Cumulatively.
Yeah, cumulatively. And Phillips and Banks 8 years, and then we were somewhere else for 7 before that, and so we've been doing ministry a long time. And I think I have learned the difference between a need and a want.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for real.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, and there is a difference. There is a big difference.
Man, but I've even seen, I mean, I can think back in things that the Lord did way before we even started this that I think fueled my faith and trusting that He would always take care of you.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, I remember we were taking our lunches into work before that, and we were like struggling at the time, and
Financially.
yes, and I remember taking ramen noodles to work
I remember
every
thinking
single
my
day.
heart is going to explode if I eat any more ramen noodles. It's like 50,000 milligrams of sodium every meal.
Yeah,
So
that's rough.
But I remember doing that and thinking, Lord, I can't even do any better than this right now, and I don't know how we're gonna do that. And then somebody literally walks in the back door with arms full of groceries
Mhm.
and sits them down on the table, and I'm like, how did you do that in the exact time that I was wondering if I could trust you, if you were going to provide it? And I think through that time of struggle, then I came out of that going, okay, well, Lord, if I've seen you do this before, then I have to trust you with where we are and what's next, because you've already been so faithful.
And I think in different ways, God is asking that of us even now.
Sure.
It may not be about starting a new ministry or whatever, like it was before.
Or quitting your
Or
job.
quitting your job or walking away from...
Well, I've been wanting to talk to you guys about that.
Oh, no.
You better not.
Somebody else can do social media because I'm over it. Just kidding.
I hope so. I hope you're kidding. I'm honest to goodness. First of all, we can't change the name and rebrand everything. That'd take too much work, too much money. And secondly, there's nobody else I'd rather travel with.
Yeah.
Honestly, nobody else I'd rather do ministry with. Hey, Olivia.
Hey.
It's hard to believe that this little girl was like 3 years old when we first started.
3
3 or 4 years old.
Hello.
You got the Holy Ghost?
Will you shut that door, please?
Do you mind? Thank you.
She just got back from church.
Where we should be, ain't we?
I was in
But
church about 20 times this week. I think I'm all right.
I'm all churched out. What's that song? Anyway, sorry, I'm getting off topic. But to wrap it up, that's where we come from. That's how it all started. Started a funeral.
And it's going to end at one too, bro.
Amen, bro.
Yikes.
But
I was thinking throughout all this, when we started talking about the RV, I was thinking we need to do an RV episode because, and I'm not going to tell it, and you don't tell it either. We're going to save it for another episode. But you put this in your brain. You remember our first trip to North Carolina in that thing?
oh yeah.
Wait, when it was freezing and it was like March
I
or
said,
something?
don't tell it on here.
We'll get it.
We'll get there,
it.
though.
We'll get it.
Just know it was not great.
We have a few
Adventures.
that we've had in the RV.
I'm telling you, but there's no greater adventure than
Ridgeview?
being with your friends
When you knock that.
and serving the Lord
Yeah.
and singing about Jesus. I swear to you guys, I know it's hard sometimes, but I love it.
Have you noticed since getting the RV, we haven't really fought as much?
No, that's
Me and
true.
you.
Yeah, well, they never fight, but all
That's
right.
actually so true.
If
For
you see
some
me
reason.
and Carmen fighting, it's who's going to take the last Reese cup.
Yeah.
But she's like, no, you take it. No, you take it.
All right.
Let's
Well,
split it.
now what do we? What?
Or give it to me, you're diabetic.
Oh yeah. All right. Well, there you have it, folks. The Phillips and Banks origin story. Please Caleb, go ahead and tell them
Yeah.
what you need to tell them.
Don't forget to subscribe to the page and click the little bell so you'll get notifications of when the next episode pops up. Also, if you're watching this and you're not checking us out on Facebook, Tuesday nights at 7:30, wherever you're at, come and check out the ministry page. We go live and we have a lot of fun over there too. Different content, but we still have a lot of fun. So check it out and spread the word.
All right, we're out like Meemaw's teeth. Good night.